So I've had a couple of requests from people to do a second epilogue, to kind of talk about what it meant for me to read through my book and kind of go through that experience again, and to just kind of give an update of where I'm at today, almost 9 years after diagnosis. So that's what I'd like to do. I've got Cubby running in the background, hopefully not causing too much trouble. I've also got one of my favorite spots in our yard in the background, this garden that Mark has done this year. It's like our first year that a garden has actually worked out because he's put so much time and effort into it. So anyway, I digress. So yeah, it has been interesting to read through those experiences again. A lot of those experiences I hadn't thought about probably since I wrote the book. And so it was interesting to read through some of those and think, oh my goodness, like I remember that, but it feels like it was 100 years ago. And it was interesting to think about the feelings that it dredged up. I no longer feel dread or too much anxiety when I think about some of those things that transpired and all of the stuff that I had to do during that journey, which even at the time of writing that book, I didn't think that I'd ever reach a point where I wouldn't feel anxious about it all the time. So here I am 9 years later, and I can tell you that the anxiety does decrease. That could be due to the fact that I am taking a low dose of anxiety medication. But whatever you need to do to get control of that anxiety, do it. Whether it's medication or counseling or, and I feel like I had to combine that with lots of prayer as well. Physically, I feel really good. I am able to do pretty much anything that I want to. I still have to be careful about not having blood pressures and IVs and stuff in my right arm. That will be something that I continue to deal with for the rest of my life. But in the grand scope of things, that's not really a problem, right? I'm feeling healthy and I'm feeling good, and my white blood cell counts kind of bounce up and down a little bit, but that's to be expected. So I wanted to share some thoughts about what I relearned through the experience of reading my book, because that experience was so powerful in my life, and I learned so many amazing lessons that I think that it was really good. It was a good time for me to kind of relive that and remember some of the things that I learned. I just have to begin by saying this. Sometimes I apologize for always talking about things of a spiritual nature, and that is wrong of me. It's part of who I am. It is something that got me through that really difficult time, and there are things that I learned about my Savior Jesus Christ in that journey that moved my belief in Him and my belief in His gospel to knowledge. So I will not apologize anymore for sharing my thoughts and testimony of Him and His gospel. And so with that, I think that it's interesting how things kind of correlate in our lives, right? So I'm, as many of you know, going to school, trying to get my bachelor's degree. And as I have been finishing up this book and finishing up these readings, I've also been studying in the Old Testament, which I've never really done a deep study of the Old Testament before. And it's been so interesting and intriguing, and I've loved it. But one of the things that has really stood out to me in studying the Old Testament is how much the Lord is begging us to remember Him, to walk with Him, and to keep His commandments. I have another pink journal that I've been using to keep notes of my studies in the Old Testament. And I think this quote that I also shared on my blog recently encompasses the main thing that stood out to me as I went through my book again. It says, if people loved God with all their heart, might, mind, and strength, every aspect of their lives would be devoted to righteousness and holiness. And if these words were constantly in their hearts, and they sought to teach them to their children in every way possible, in every aspect of their lives, through precept and example, at night and in the day, at home or elsewhere, this is the part I love, all of society would be dramatically altered. I know that that is true. I know that if people loved God with everything that they had in them, that our society would be dramatically altered. And we wouldn't be having conversations about the hard things that we have conversations about these days, because we would be loving God, which in turn would increase our love for our fellow men. I find it interesting that, the Lord gives us opportunities to humble ourselves before Him. My cancer journey was a huge wake-up call for me, and a huge opportunity for me to humble myself before Him and say, what is it that you need me to learn right now? I want to learn. I want to be teachable. I want to be humble. I think the current climate that we live in, the Lord is also providing an opportunity for us to be humble. And on some level, I don't feel like as a society we're getting that. Instead of coming together, we're finding things to be more divisive about. And that hurts my heart a little bit. It really does. I'm trying not to digress too much from the purpose of this video, and that is to once again share my testimony of my Lord and Savior. He's the one who gave me the strength to do everything that I needed to do through my cancer journey. He's the one who gives me the strength to continue with my schooling, even though it's been a really long time, and it's not likely to end very soon. But He gives me strength to do that. He gives me strength to want to get out of bed every morning when there's so much craziness going on. I know that if we put our faith and trust in Him, then that's all that truly matters. And it doesn't matter what's going on around us in the world. a Savior is what matters. Loving Him, serving Him, that's what matters. I know it's hard to see that. Something so simple as loving the Lord could change the world. It seems simple and complex all at the same time. So again, I want to thank everybody that joined me on this journey. I really hope that you enjoyed listening to my book, and I've learned so much just in the journey of the book itself. It definitely has not fulfilled all of the imaginations or desires of my heart, because I had grand visions of what this book would do and what it would mean. But I know that it's fulfilled its divine purpose, and that it has touched the hearts of the people that God needed it to touch. It's been where God needed it to be, and I'm at peace with that. It took me a long time to get there, but I'm at peace with that, and I trust in Him that He's going to continue to take these words that He inspired me to write and get them into the hands of people who need to read it or who need to hear it. And that's how I try to live my life. Not perfect at it. I make a lot of mistakes. I say a lot of dumb things. I do a lot of dumb things. As a mom, as a wife, as a person. But I know that that's okay. We all do dumb things, and I think the more we recognize that in each other, the easier it will be to change society and to really love one another as God has asked us to. So that's my thoughts this morning. Hopefully it doesn't feel like too much rambling. But again, just thank you so much for supporting me in this journey that I've taken. And if you feel inclined, please feel free to share any of my book videos with anyone that you think it might help. That's my main goal, is to help other people, because I know that's why I'm still here. God needs me to help people. He needs me to be an instrument. And just like everyone here on this earth, we can be instruments for each other. And I really hope that today you focus on what God needs you to do. Where does He need you? What kind of an instrument does He need you to be in someone's life? And as we focus on God and loving God and doing what He needs us to do, we can change society. I firmly believe that. So I hope you all have a lovely day. And it's July. We made it to July. Fingers crossed that the rest of the year will go a little bit more smoothly than the first. Bye, everybody.